Hi everybody, this is the Lozzie88 and I'm back for my February book vlog. I hope you enjoyed January's. If you have not watched that, you can always go back. I will put a link in the description box for January. I've picked slightly differing books again this time, probably more so. And I've also gone a little bit easy on myself, because I've got some extra work that I've got to do, so I won't have as much time to read. So I've gone a little bit easy on myself. I've picked what I think I can manage. Okay, so the first book that I'm going to be reading is... Oh, focus. Why is it not focusing? It's Broadchurch by Erin Kelly. Yeah, so this is the official novel. Now, I never watched the TV series, which is why I decided to read the book, because I figured it was quicker. Alright, so it says, one road in, one road out. Nobody comes into Broadchurch and nobody leaves. Inspired by the first season of the BAFTA award-winning ITV series, this is the official unmissable Broadchurch novel. Incredibly moving and containing never-before-seen material, it takes you inside the minds and motivations of the unforgettable cast of characters. Now, I did not watch... Oh, here we go. I was going to say, it didn't seem to have a blurb. I never watched at Broadchurch, so here is the blurb. It says, it's a hot July morning in the Dorset town of Broadchurch when Beth Latimer realises her 11-year-old son Danny is missing. As Beth searches desperately for her boy, her best friend, local police officer D.S. Ellie Miller, arrives at work to find the promotion she was promised has been given to disreputable Scottish outsider D.I. Alec Hardy. When Danny's body is found on the beach, Ellie must put her feelings aside as she works with D.I. Hardy to solve the mystery of Danny's death. As the case becomes a murder investigation, the news hits the press, jolting sleepy Broadchurch into the national spotlight. As the town's secrets begin to unravel, members of this tight-knit community begin to consider those in their midst. Right now, it's impossible to know who to trust. So it sounded really good. I didn't watch the TV show because, to be honest, the only reason my sister watched it was because he was in it. What's his name? He was the Doctor, and he was in Harry Potter. I can't think of his name. But he was in it, and quite often I don't watch things on TV because I hate waiting between weeks to see them. I'm like, oh god, just put them all on. I can't be bothered. So, yeah, I should have recorded them and then watched them all as one, but never mind. Maybe if I like the book, I'll watch the show. Who knows? But it sounded good. And my sister was going on and on and on, like, oh my god, Broadchurch is amazing, I can't believe you won't watch it, no. So I was like, do you know what? Alright, I'll give it a go. And it's based in the UK, which is nice. Alright, the second book that I'm going to be reading is Buy One Get One Half Price. No, I'm joking. It's called The Help. And it's by Kathryn Stockett. Now, I've been meaning to I've been meaning to read this for ages. I also have the movie, but I have not watched the movie yet, because I wanted to read the book first. Now, this is one of those books that I've had set on my shelf for ages, because I know I'm going to enjoy it, I know I want to read it, but I just have not found the time. So I was like, do you know what? I'm going to read it now. So, this says... Enter a vanished world, Jackson, Mississippi, in 1962, where black maids raise white children but aren't trusted not to steal the silver. Weird, isn't it? There's Aibileen, I think. There's Aibileen raising her 17th white child and nursing the hurt caused by her own son's tragic death. Minnie, whose cooking is nearly as sassy as her tongue. And white Miss Skeeter, home from college, who wants to know why her beloved maid has disappeared. Skeeter, Aileen and Minnie, no one would believe they'd be friends. Fewer still would tolerate it. But as each woman finds the courage to cross boundaries, they come to depend and rely upon one another. Each is in search of a truth, and together they have an extraordinary story to tell. Sounds good. I like this. And I have not seen the movie, so I'm assuming that must be Skeeter. Maybe Aileen. Yeah, that must be Minnie, because she's got cooking, so yeah. But I've heard a few people say it was very good, and when I saw it in a charity shop, I got this book, it's like basically new, it's been read like once, I was like, I gotta get that. I think it was 80p, and I was like, do you know what, it would have cost me £8, so I got it for 10%. Yay! And I was like, I've got to buy it for that. You know, it's in such good quality. It's such good condition. It's sounds like a quality book. So, yep, I bought that. And then I got another one I got from a charity shop. I don't know why. That's what I saw when she woke, and it's by Hilary Jordan. And then when I got it out, I loved this font. I love the fact that it was so bland. Like, that's the cover. So, and then it said, she was red, not flushed, not sunburned, but the solid, declarative red of a stop sign. Dun dun dun. And the pages are red on the outside too. Ooh. Okay. So this says, Hannah Payne's life has been devoted to church and family, but after her arrest she awakens to a nightmare. She is lying on a table in a bare room with cameras broadcasting her every move to millions of people. Observing chromes, criminals whose skin colour has been genetically altered to match the class of their crime, is a new and sinister form of entertainment. Hannah is a red. Her crime is murder. The victim, according to the state of Texas, was her unborn child. And it says, when she woke is a timely fable about a woman cast out in a world that has marked her for life, where convicted felons are no longer imprisoned and rehabilitated, but chromed and released back into the population to survive as best they can. In search for a path to safety in this alien and hostile world, Hannah unknowingly embarks on a journey of self-discovery that forces her to question the values she once held true and to risk everything to protect the man she loves. So it just kind of sounded really interesting to me, like how this author would write how this Hannah girl would deal with the fact that she would basically be a social outcast, and not like in the way that we perceive social outcasts to be. Like, if you have a piercing, apparently that's not correct, or if you have a tattoo, apparently that's not correct, or if you ride a motorcycle, oh, you know, that must mean you're a bad person. Ugh. You know, don't worry, I don't believe these things, but still, that's what a lot of people do. They look at you differently because you do something that they perceive not normal. And that's the weird thing. It's like, how would you deal with something as major as literally being red from head to toe, and there's nothing you can do about it? It won't wash off. You'll always be red. And it's that kind of, I'm wondering how other people are going to deal with her, whether she's going to start getting like hate or hit or shouted at, or whether she'll, you know, be starving because no one will give her a job. I'm just curious. So I thought, I'm going to read that. I like the sound of that. Again, this one was, I believe, 80p. So, yay. I'm going to read that. And those are my 3 books for the month of February. Because I've got 1 week that's really busy, and 3 weeks that I should have normal time to read. So, my last thing is, so exciting, I'm finally going to start reading the Walking Dead Compendium 1. And what I've done is, I have counted 50 pages. That's what I've done. It's probably actually 100 because the pages are doubled, but I just counted like 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. So I didn't get any spoilers. So I counted that, and yes, that is what I'm having. I'm reading 50 pages of the Walking Dead Compendium 1. I was a little bit annoyed because what I originally tried to do, because this is, let me just think it goes, no it doesn't. It's broken down into chapters 1 to 3. But I thought, because this is a compendium of like something like 48 comics, that they would have the cover art and like the comic within the books, so I could just go, right, I'm going to read 4 comics. No, it didn't work like that. I went through for like 25 pages and I didn't come across a single book, and I don't think comics are thicker than that. So yeah, I'm not quite sure, but basically I just picked 50 pages. If I want to read more, I will read some more, but 50 pages is what I chose, and that will start me off nicely with reading The Walking Dead, and I will take my time with it, because I'm not used to the ones that have images. I need to look at these things. So this is my books for this month. These are what I have chosen. I think they're a good basis. I was going to read another James Patterson one that I've been waiting to read for ages, and I know is going to be good, but I was like, no, I read a James Patterson last month. Have a break, read some new ones. Once I've read these, they will be able to be donated. Well, not this one, but once I've read these 3, they'll be able to be donated, and someone else can enjoy them. So they've been on my shelf long enough. So yes, I've got Broadchurch, The Help, When She Woke, and The Walking Dead. I'm probably going to read them in that order as well, or at least in that order. And then this will just be interspersed as and when, a couple pages when I want it. So this is going to be probably just read throughout the month rather than in one big lot. But yes, this is what I've chosen. If you've read any of these books, please let me know. I'm going to be doing what I did last month, and I will be letting you know little video files added on after this bit when I have read these books and tell you what I thought of them. So you can let me know what you thought, and I will tell you what I thought. Alright guys, please don't give me any spoilers for The Walking Dead. I really would appreciate it if you didn't give me any spoilers. I have not finished catching up with the TV show, and I have not, obviously, I haven't even started the comics yet, but I have not read the comics yet either, so please no spoilers. I'm just enjoying it really slowly. Me and a friend are watching it, and I'm reading it, so please no spoilers. I know it's going to be different. Alright guys, let's see what I thought of the first book. Alright, so I have finished Broadchurch. This was the first book that I chose to read for February's book vlog, and it has taken me a long time. I think it is the 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, I think it's the 18th of February, and yes. Why did it take me this long, considering I started it on the 1st? I had the flu about 2 weeks ago, and honestly, I didn't pick this book back up. I probably got about 80 pages in, then I had the flu. Then I just couldn't face reading a book. I just couldn't. So I'm probably not going to complete my February book vlog, but I'm going to try for another book and see how I go. Right, so what I actually thought of this book was, it was deceptively good. It started off very fast, and I thought, where do they go from here? Like, within the first 30 pages, the murder had happened, and I was like, what could they possibly include in the next 400 pages? But actually, it was very refreshing, very heartfelt, I would say, is a good way to interpret it. The characterizations of these two characters, Alec Hardy and D.S. Miller, were really good. But there was a twist at the end when you find out who the killer is, which was really unexpected. Like, I had not considered it at all. And yes, I really enjoyed this book. I thought that maybe it was a little bit long-winded at times. Not all the time, just at times. But for the most part, you know, I had a few. I might have had a few tears at the end. Just a few. You know, it was sweet. Now, I like the writing style of this. I like the fact that it was very, very English in the way it describes things and with the language. Like, I wasn't trying to guesstimate what slang meant. I knew what it meant. I was able to pick out more, like, local, like, English terminology, which was nice. Because, I mean, I don't know anything about, like, Washington or whatever, but I do know a few places within England, so it was like, oh, I think that's there. So it was quite nice. I also liked the way that the conversations took place in this book. That was really good. I do kind of feel that the mental side of it, the thoughts that people had were very honest. So, like, if a character is talking to someone and then the book mentions, you know, how that person is feeling about that person or the conversation they're having or whatever, it was very honest, quite raw, which was really good. I really enjoyed it. I kind of wish I'd seen the TV series, although I did mention that I was reading this to a few people who had seen the TV series and they were not that impressed by the TV series, so who knows. But yes, I'm glad I read this. It was a good book. There was lots going on, lots of red herrings, a lot of, how do I describe it? A lot of lives meshing together. Like, you don't really realise how much what you do or say to one person can have an effect on someone else, and it was really interesting how they brought all of this entire community of Broadchurch together. Like, one person says something to someone else and it comes back in someone else's side, you know. It was very weird. I'm not explaining it very well. I'm still not quite right from my flu, so I don't know if you can hear it. I'm very nasally. I still have a lot of crap on my chest, but I'm trying to get my energy back. I literally sat and read like 150 pages today because I was desperately trying to read and finish this book because it's just dragging on now. I was like, this is ridiculous. I need to finish this book. I think the next book that I'm going to read is The Walking Dead, because that is a really light book. Like, it's just 50 pages of comic. So I think I'm just going to read that next and just chill. And then I don't know which one I'm going to read next. Whichever one I don't end up reading, I will probably read in March. So you will still hear my thoughts about the book, just maybe not in February. Dang it. Alright. I'm going to leave you guys now, and I will tell you what I thought of the next book that I read, whatever it may be. So, the next book that I read is the Walking Dead Compendium 1, and I did not read the whole thing. I read to there. It's about 50 pages. I read just over 50 pages because I got to the page 50 and there was a lot going on, so I just read until it kind of slowed down again. so that I knew what was happening. So that is what I did. I really enjoyed it. It's very different to the TV series. It is very, very different, which I'm really enjoying because it's not the same. It's not all the same. I'm enjoying that. I love the fact that I'm able to read something a little bit different, comic style. And I think maybe next month I'll read a bit more of my Buffy book or something, because I really enjoyed, it was like a nice little break, if you will. So yeah, I did enjoy that. And the characters in here are kind of weird, because I was expecting similarities to the show. The only one I can see is really similar so far is Glenn and Rick. Those two. But I don't know, I'm just really liking this so far. I'm curious as to when we start seeing new characters and when we start losing characters, because I think they die in different orders. I think. No spoilers, please. I do think that, we see a completely different direction, which is nice. I think they still go to the same places and you still kind of see the same characters, but I think what actually happens is very different, which is understandable. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. I can't wait to read a bit more, but I'm going to give it a little break because these were really expensive and I'd like to make it last. I don't want to just read it all. I mean, I could read this a few pages. I was quite surprised actually, because to read this much, which is how much I read, took me 3 times. So I read 15 pages, then I read 20 pages, then I read the last few pages, because there's quite a lot going on. It's really, you have to concentrate a lot more than you do with a regular book, so I did find that a bit trickier, but I kind of enjoyed it because I was able to just sit and read and take it in. So yeah, and I did a better job than I did with my manga, because I actually looked at the pictures and took the time to understand which character is which character. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. I may read a little bit more here and there if I fancy it, but at the moment I'm just going to leave it at 50 pages. That's about 3 or 4 comic books, so yes, I really enjoyed it. I can see why this took off. This is really, really good. Alright guys, see you soon. Alright guys, so it is now officially the end of February, and these are the books that I told myself I was going to read this month, and I failed. As I told you before, I had the flu at the beginning of the month, and I managed to finish Broadchurch, and I managed to read the allotted amount of The Walking Dead, but I did not get to The Help, and I did not get to When She Woke. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these into my March book list. And these are unfortunately the only 2 that I read this month, which I'm kind of annoyed with myself about, but at the same time I know I wasn't very well, and that I'm still, though I'm better, I still every now and then get coughs, I still every now and then get nasally. It's still, I still have something, but it's very, very mild now. I don't know if you can hear the difference to my voice from last month to this month, but I read these 2 and I'm really happy with that actually, because I could have given up when I had flu and just not read anything and just stopped, but because of these book vlogs I was more determined to read, so I'm very happy that I'm still doing these book vlogs. That was really, really good. I really enjoyed that. If you haven't watched the TV series, I would say this is worth reading. Perhaps if you have watched the TV series, it might not be, because it's not exactly the same, I was talking with my sister who's watched the series, and I've read the book, and the same things happen, but like she said, with the TV series you don't get the behind the scenes kind of what's going on in their head. Some things were made a little bit too obvious to make you understand what they were thinking. So I think the book would probably be really good to read. Sorry about that, I sneezed. And so I really enjoyed the Walking Dead Compendium 1, or at least the part that I read. I read just over 50 pages. It was really, really enjoyable, and I'm glad that I bought it. It was kind of a gamble thing. Someone had recommended it to me, that when I bought some of my Buffy comics, and then the guy in the comic book shop said, "Have you ever read The Walking Dead?" And I said, "No, I'm watching it at the moment." And he said, "Oh gosh, if you like the TV show, you will love the comics because they're..." And I was like, "Yeah, but I've watched the TV show. I don't want to read the comics as well. It'd be the same." And he's like, "No, it's completely different. Characters are the same, but it's completely different." And he's right. I mean, I took a big gamble. I didn't end up buying them from him. I feel so bad. I kind of went home, thought about it, looked up some reviews, and then I found somewhere that was selling these. If I bought them from him, it was about £150, and these cost me about 90. So I was so happy. And £30 is a lot, but actually, considering how long it took me to read this amount of pages, this was 3 days. Just sat for like half an hour each time, because the comic book reading is a little bit harder than normal reading. So, but yeah, so those few pages, and look how much is left, those few pages took me 3 days. Just sat and reading a few pages at a time, and I really enjoyed it, so fully recommend. So you won't see these 2 books again. I've read them now. That one has been sat on my shelf for well over a year because I knew I wanted to read it, and that one's been sat for a few months. But now I finally read and started them, and I'm super glad I did. I'm so happy. Alright guys, that is it. Thank you so much. I will see you again soon.